Welcome back, campaigners. I been having a few technical difficulties tonight, so I'm starting like 1 minute late, but trying to get on the ball here. Tonight we're going to be starting from the same piece we've been working on, only this time we're going to put a herringbone pattern of tiles on top of it. So that should make Lisa and a couple other people that really like the herringbone happy. I very slightly injured myself, and my goop to fix it won't work, so I'm going to play through the pain. Okay, it's a tiny little scrape. I'm good. So I hope y'all are doing well. I hope none of y'all have even gotten tiny little scrapes. And I'm going to jump pretty much straight into this. This is that city block I've been working on. This is the one with the stairs on it. Oh, you cannot see that at all. Let me just switch the camera here. So that's this one here with the stairs on it that I've been working on. As long as it's this white, everything's going to wash out, and I apologize for that. But there should be a lot more blue on it tonight. I'm going to herringbone the entire top, and if I get time, I'm also going to trim the pieces I did last week because there's glue in between them and I want more of a gap in between them. So I'm going to trim that out. That's why I've got the little X-Acto out. And I say X-Acto, it's not an X-Acto brand, but you get the idea, hobby knife. The side, I haven't decided how I'm going to do yet, but it's probably not going to be herringbone. And even if it is, it's going to be larger bricks, so it takes less time to do. Now, this one I did differently than my other ones in that it's not openable. It's a solid box. You can't take the top off. So this will be pretty easy. I'll just flip it over and start from here and work my way down, but up. And then once I've gotten to the bottom, I can just trim it off flush. And that way, when it's sitting right set up, everything lines up great and looks like it's built from the ground up. So we'll work on that in a minute. Won't be needing any of the big ones today. So I'm gonna set this box to the side. I'm gonna be using dozens, probably hundreds of these here. I could use the 5 by 10, 5 by 5 by 10 millimeter, but I have a bunch of these and they're 5 by 5 by thickness of the board. So 10, 12, 13 millimeters. So I'm going to use these up, or as many as I can. There's no way that I'm going to run out of these on this small an area. So let me work on that. Let me just sit this off to the side real quick. Y'all should be able to hear me. The mic looks like it's going. And okay, let's get right into it. I keep wanting to take this lid off and work on it, but this one I can't do that with. So I think I'm going to start just randomly and go from there. I really don't care. This was added as an afterthought, and if it looks like it was added as an afterthought, that's fine because it was. So I'm going to just kind of start over here and work my way out. Everything that hits one of these crooked, uneven edges that you can't see from there, everything that hits one of these crooked, uneven edges is going to have to be individually custom fit. This is going to take a long time. I will probably not finish this top tonight, but I'm going to be starting working in just a second. Now, many of y'all know I absolutely love hot glue. I use it for almost everything, but since I'm doing a large expanse and I need some of these things to be wiggly to get other pieces in between them, I'm actually going to use white glue for this, which regular old PVA glue, school glue, wood glue, white glue, PVA glue, whatever your company calls it, it's all the same stuff. It's just a matter of the consistency or the thickness. I'm going to use I think it's called standard Elmer's glue or Elmer's, I don't even remember what it's called. Hold on a second. It's called, nope, that one's school glue. So this one's actually thinned out a little. School glue has more water in it. So I'm going to, or something in it that makes it a thinner consistency. It makes it easier to work with it longer for the little kitty hands working on things. So I'm going to get right to that. Let me know if I see somebody's here. Let me know if you can hear me. Should be able to. Hey, Dinky Dioramas. Wow, it's 7 p.m. here. It's somewhere between 9 and 11 where you're at. Whew, burning the midnight oil over there. How's it going in Australia? My friend in Melbourne says that it's stupid hot, 40 degrees outside his house today. That's Celsius for you Americans that are like me. Celsius or Fahrenheit prone. 40 degrees Celsius is 96? No, over 100. It's like 104 Fahrenheit. It's toasty is what we're saying. So that's what you wanted. You wanted to watch the American guy so he could complain about your weather. I know. But I super appreciate you coming in. Anybody who doesn't know, think you'd 11:05 a.m. Oh, see, I'm backwards. That's right. 29 degrees. That's not nearly 40. That's much better. That's much better. That's That's livable. So I keep getting the 2 to 4 hours correct, but I keep forgetting it's actually 14 to 16 hours difference. So yeah, it's already, you're living in the future. You're already Monday morning. I got a friend that's coming over on Monday, and they will be here our Monday morning, and you will be asleep because it'll be right in the middle of your night. Okay, I do not know why this won't clear out. So, let's see if I can't get the glue to flow through here. What do I have with which to clean this out? Let's use this scientific picky pick. And whoop, that in there. Got my mics working. I had to reboot my computer. I had a crash. I don't know if everybody had this, but every computer I've got, every system I've got, one of my browsers messed up today. So I had a whole issue with that. And barely got here. I got downstairs here to my craft room in plenty of time, and then had tech issues. I barely got going by 7 p.m. And just that kind of day. Now let's see if I got airflow through here. If I do, then I've got glue flow. Nope, still messed up. Try this from the other side. Oh, I watched a great live stream last night. Oh yeah, what do you do? I cleaned glue out of a nozzle. Super exciting stuff. But it all needs doing. So that's some goopy, junky. Ugh. Okay, can I see through it? No, it's still messed up. Let's try this again. Third time's the charm, knock wood, and all that kind of superstitious mojo stuff about my glue here. Aha, I can see the light at the end of the nozzle. All right, now we'll get to gluing some stuff. Yeah, every time one of my Australian friends is like, I'm calling from the future, I'm always like, great, what are the lotto numbers? I've been told that you're, I think it's Parliament. I don't know if you have a PM. Somebody has forbidden you to tell the Americans the numbers. We're already messing the world up as it is, so don't give us any more money. I can't say I fault that logic. Personally, I just think my friends have taken a piss and having fun with me, but yeah, either way. I keep gluing myself to my napkin. Okay, look, I'm actually putting glue on a thing. I actually started crafting. I'm a professional. Okay. For those of you that missed it, at the very tail end last week, I spilled more than half of these and had to pick them up. But I had been missing 2 of these little nozzles, one for a glue bottle and one for a paint bottle. I found them both while crawling around on the floor picking up little tiles. So, yay, I guess. All right, where are my little paintbrushes? There we go. There's the one. That's the one. That's the one. Okay, where are my ratty little brushes I use for glue? Ah, there it is. Okay, I found it. Probably going to want some water in that, but I don't know that for a fact, so we'll set that there ready to go. All right. But if you got, tomorrow's lotto numbers for here in America, I'd love to hear them. A friend of mine told me that he thinks he qualifies for a grant, and with the amount of money he had, I was suitably jealous. And he's like, "What would you do with that?" And I'm like, buy more craft supplies and still do my live streams. He's like, "Man, you're a weirdo." Like, yes, I am. I am definitely a weirdo. I mean, this is the stuff I enjoy the most in life, is all this weird geeky dorky stuff. So if I suddenly fell into all of the money ever, why wouldn't I keep doing all of the geeky dorky stuff that I enjoy? So here I am doing geeky dorky stuff. All right, I probably don't want these going everywhere. I don't really have any bowl. All right, I'm just gonna dump them out. I never understand this. How does one pink brick get in a bottle? Whatever. Oh, these are all sorts of different sizes, because these are the ones that I textured by scrunching, and some of them got scrunched endwise and are not the same length. That is okay. I'll just work around it. I have applied a brick. We are started. Now these are going to be herringbone, which means all of these have to be 45 degrees off of each other, give or take. I say give or take because if you can see this, this is supposed to be 45 degrees and it is not. I'm not sure what degree it's at, and I'm not trying to copy it. I'm going to go with 45 degree on the herringbone as well. But like I said, this is supposed to be an active functioning city, and there's not enough glue on here. That's all right. And many of these things will have been replaced several times over the years. I don't know if they have a minimum wage there in my medieval fantasy land, but presumably these are done by guys who are like, oh, I guess I'm going to do those bricks. These are not done by artisans or anybody trying to impress anybody. They're trying to get it down in time for the spring festival when all the market people show up or whatever. So it can all be just a little jank and be perfectly fine. Hey, loosely collected. Good to see you again. Sad you had to run off a little early. Was that last week or the week before? But glad to see you back. All right. Look at that. Look, I'm doing a thing. I've actually accomplished a thing. Oh, keep doing it. This will be most of this evening is me rambling and chatting with y'all and trying to get these to line up correctly and not move around too much after they're down. Now, again, all of this is going to have a sort of sand grout mixture put on after. So every one of these little grooves and lines and everything, after it's all painted and everything, we'll have that put in like grout, brushed off the top, spritzed with rubbing alcohol with water. That's all rubbing alcohol that you buy at the commercial level, at the consumer level. That's you, me, and the guy down the street, not clinics and such. Is somewhere between 40 and 90% alcohol and 10 to 60% whatever else, which is usually just water. So that will help all of that grout mixture and such to set. And that is what we're going for. I'm going to need a knife. I'm going to need to pick these up. And I don't know if I can get any closer than this. Let me see if I can move the camera closer. That might work better. Okay, there we go. Okay, that way I don't have to be arguing with this or my cross members underneath my desk. All right, now I'm seeing that I am needing a lot more glue than I thought, so we will just be putting that down as I go. This stuff really, really wants to squid around. I should have put a few of these down with hot glue just to base from, but this whole project is going to be a little wiggly, so might as well jump right into the wiggly bits. Okay, that is as far as I can go that direction without having to cut custom ones. So you see that I'm about to start running into this edge. I think I can get one more right here. And then everything else is going to have to be custom. That's going to be the time-consuming thing. You can see that just covering large swaths, or if you're British pronunciation, swathes of open land here will be quick. It's all these little nooks and crannies and edges and corners, which of course I added more last week by putting in this diagonal. So, always up for a challenge, even if I created it. Okay. More glue, that means more white, that means more washed out camera. Apologies for that. There's really nothing I can do about that because I need the light, and the more light I have, the better I can see, and the better I can see, the worse you can see. So. Okay. As I said earlier, Pinky Dioramas has a magnificent channel, builds miniatures in a larger scale than I do, but miniatures. Built a fantastic rural setting type gas station and a while back. Also made what's the other thing? A fire station. Brilliant stuff. Been working on some smaller things recently, like some windows and doors and things. All been very cool. If anybody else has a channel they want to talk about, knock yourself out. You can talk about it in my chat window there. I can't post any links. I think YouTube will get upset at you if you do that. But you can talk about your channels, or you can go hit my Discord and talk about them there. I even got a place for you to post stuff for y'all's channels. You know what I'm trying to say? I can't speak English. Sorry. Okay, we are actually accomplishing a thing. So coming along. A weird little herringbone pattern that's getting all funky and weird and crazy and off-centered and all of it. Looking great because it all needs to look lived in and realistic, and I don't want it to look perfect and showroom floor, so to speak. Okay. Oh, did it again. Lapsed into silence. Got too concentrating on the thing. Sorry about that. Let me keep babbling at you. Always more exciting when the crafter's babbling. I can babble. I just sometimes get a little zoned in on what I'm doing. Lose my place for a second. Okay. Anybody who's just missed the intro, welcome, campaigners. I'm glad to have you here. This is Campaign Terrain. I am your host, that guy Cross. I typically say I'm your resident basement dweller. I don't actually live down here, but I do craft down here. Quite enjoy it. Keeps me away from other distractions. And got it set up as my little studio here. And, I didn't think I'd like these live streams as much when I started the first one. Man, I love coming down here and chatting with y'all. Super fun. I gives a chance to actually give some feedback to people in a way. Yeah, that's the problem. The more I talk about my channel, the less I can do for my channel. Yeah, I get you there. I said, that's what she said. Yeah, well. That's dirty. This is not a children's channel. You ever noticed? I have it set to not for kids. I would love to encourage kids to do artistic stuff and all of that, but so far, knock wood, I have not cussed publicly on my channel except once. I don't think anybody actually caught that one. So I try not to. I definitely don't try not to cuss. I just try not to cuss when y'all are watching. I was raised by a woman with a carefree attitude toward um, the spoken word, shall we say, and it rubbed off on me, and I have carried that with me my whole life. So, apologies if I suddenly startle anybody. If I hurt myself or drop something, that's when I'm usually going to cuss. I managed to not last week. I actually talked about not cussing, which is kind of a cathartic way to continue the not cussing. But yeah, that's what she said. So, man, herringbone is pain in the whatever you don't like a pain in it. That's where it hurts. Okay, so when all of this is done, before I get to any of the painting or anything, see how this is all getting white glued here? There's going to be a whole other layer of thinned out white glue put on top of this to make sure everything stays steady. Now, a lot of people use all sorts of different mixtures for their first sealant down. On this, I am just going to use white glue just because I know that I'm not getting as coverage here as much as I'd like. And then after that, I'll use my regular paint. My regular paint, I used to call it my boom because that's when everything comes together. Once it gets the base coat on, that's when I start to go, yep, that's good looking good. I used to bother with all this thing of mixing acrylic paints with PVA and all of this. And then I found out that house paint is cheaper per ounce and has PVA in it. So now I just use what we in America call latex house paint and the rest of the world calls emulsion. And it does everything you need it to do and is less per ounce than your half craft and hobby paints, even in big volumes of craft and hobby. So want to go ahead and double check it. Maybe it'll say it on the can. Maybe it'll say it on the manufacturer's website. But most of them have PVA in them if you just get a latex house paint / emulsion. I did not know that until recently, and I saw somebody else mention it on the channel, and I would love to give them credit, but I cannot for the life of me remember who said it that I picked it up from. Okay. We're going to go here. I'm going to do a few more here, and then I'll show you how this herringbone pattern is coming along. I'm sure it's super exciting to watch me do it. That's farce. I don't believe it's exciting at all. But as I make a little progress, I'll show y'all here, and then it will be much more exciting. You'll actually be able to see what I'm doing. Ooh, that brick is longer than the other and doesn't really want to fit in the pattern. Oh well, like I said, these are all supposed to be just a little off to look lived in and realistically used. Pick up. Oh my gosh, such an ordinary little brick. The last one I'm going to put on before I show you the pattern, of course, has to be a mini butt. That's right, I said mini butt. Okay, that is what my herringbone pattern is looking like so far. Oh, I cannot stand making herringbone, but I absolutely love the final look of it. I have a piece over somewhere that I can show you what it will look like on a larger scale, and you'll see what I mean about it looking great. But it's going to take me just a second to grab that. Give me just a moment. While I'm over here grabbing these things, you should still be able to hear me, and I will grab a couple of oh, now I found the right size bricks. Whatever. I will show you the things I was painting with the first dry brush last week. That's these dungeon stackers. They look like that. As you can see, you can still see a lot of the green and blue stripes I put in them. Those will disappear because I've still got to put a dark wash on these and then a second dry wash or dry brush with a brighter color. And then these will be ready to go. And here's the appropriate dungeon tiles that go with them. These are the 3x3 squares. And these are the 3x3 dungeon stackers, which are designed. You can stack them with each other or on top of each other or on top of each other the different way, or you can set them up to make pretty much instant houses. You can set them up as temple daises, all sorts of things. There's like infinite things you can do with these. These were originally popularized by the channel Black Magic Craft. A friend of his named Ryan suggested them, and he started doing them. I've seen them done about 20 different ways. My favorites so far are the ones done by Runehammer. His had little pieces cut in at the edges to give it a little more flair. Those are pretty cool. Okay, found the herringbone. This is what it's supposed to look like. If you look at this, that's what I'm building here in a smaller scale. So this is what I'm working on here. You see this was done with a lot more precision and a lot more care. And this is, that's just the way I did it at that time. And I actually decided that I really don't like this. I should have textured these so they had rounded edges and all of that. But it's designed to have a house sitting on it. You're really not going to pay attention to the ground, so I'm not too worried about that. Now, sometimes you get things like this. I have a broken brick, and all it takes is a little bit of glue to put that back in place, and then you can hit it with some more paint. Just a basic gray, like a mid gray, will pretty much hide all sins. It doesn't matter what color you had on it before. A medium gray, just a couple of drops here and there, especially if you make some a little lighter with some white or a little darker with some black and just dab them on there, that will completely hide. But in this case, it looks like that piece folded right back in. And once that glue dries, you'll never know it broke. So while I'm fixing things and making more of the same, anybody here crafting, or what are we doing? Why do you start at that point? Are you bulking it out as this started? Yeah, I started in the middle just to spread it out. I knew that the flat open spot, I think Dioramas asked, why did I start from here? I started from here just because I know that the wide open areas are going to be easier to brick. And once it gets down into these little edges and all of the uneven pieces, that's going to be harder. So I was going to get the easier, faster parts out of the way and go do this whole side and then come around and do this whole side. And by that point, I can come back around and hopefully some of this glue will be tacked up. I'm going to try to say dry and glue at the same time. Some of this glue will be tacky or dried up enough to begin fitting the little pieces in between there. Okay, next question. I can edit out the cussing when I make videos. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I would probably not be as horrified as you think, because I've invented some cuss words over the years. But yeah, there's a reason I tend to. I find that the ones where I'm live working and I'm saying, and I'm not doing a voiceover and I'm speaking as I build, run into three problems. Too many ums and ers. And I hear those when I'm editing and I have to like lower the volume, then bring the volume back up, and it's just a pain. So I should do voiceovers. It would be easier. But on the other side, I get that flow and I'm explaining exactly as I go. So that way there's never a pause in like a voiceover. But on the opposite hand of that, sometimes I'll re-explain and re-explain and re-explain because a step will take longer than I meant for it to. So it's all a trade-off. So far, I have not cussed in anything I have live recorded or live streamed, but I'm sure it'll come. Dioramas, did I buy the little sample pots of house paint? Yeah, I can't seem to find those here. I go to the hardware stores and say, I want these. The closest I've gotten is one of the specialty that's just a paint store that's not one of our DIY centers, has pots this size. And this is 29.5 ounces or 1 27/32 pints. That's just bizarre. And 872 mil. Why this size? Because this isn't an even number with imperial or metric. I have no idea why they do this size. But anyway, I love these. This is my dark gray, and it does have the PVA in it. And this is the one I use as my base coat. I never base in black because nothing in nature is black. Every time I say something like that, somebody goes, oh, but what about? Yes, there's about 12 things in nature out of the billions and billions and billions of nature things. So if you're making obsidian, sure, paint it black. But otherwise, nothing in nature is black. So I tend to base in gray, browns, and greens. I don't even typically base in dark blues. Two reasons. One, I don't really make anything aquatic or icy all that often. And this is the part where people go, what? Why? And I have no idea why. I cannot stand the color blue. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I hate it. And I don't know why. So all the people going, but why? No, barking up a wrong tree trying to get me to answer that one. I have never known. A friend of mine says I'm a throwback to when we couldn't even see blue and all we saw was purples and called them, and blues are actually a derivation of purples and such. And I'm like, maybe. And then I go, wait, did you call me a throwback? And he's like, I didn't say nothing. That guy's a jerk. We don't like him. Yeah, he's fun. I wish I could get a camera right over what I'm doing, but closest I've got is this, and it gets really washed out really quick. So if I switch to the top cam, y'all can't see that anyway. If I switch to the front cam, well, I can wave at you. You can't see this. So we're back to this one. So anybody else have a color they just can't stand? I just found out last night that a friend of mine who's what I would call a cutesy person, and I would have expected really, really liked pink, can't stand pink. Like, okay. I happen to like pink, but it's one of my favorites. But I don't like blue. So who am I to say? Trick with herringbone is that you'll do one row, and then you'll want to do the next row offset. And it's like, no, 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 I got to go back to doing it like that first row. And what I mean by that is, this is that row I started on, or the 2 rows I started on. And this one goes here, then this one goes here, then this one goes here. And when I get over to these, I always want to put them like off by 1, and it messes up the whole thing, and you end up with it kind of just being a diagonal line. And I find it a fiddly thing that I have to really concentrate on. But it looks so good when it's done. I do like the look of herringbone. Just don't love the process. I literally don't hate the player, I hate the game. Okay. Okay, here's an example. This one I got wrong and should be right there. And for some reason I was trying to stick it here, even though it was connected differently on this side. So that is what I'm talking about. I've got it readjusted now just by pushing that in. There's going to be one here that fits, but you'll see it'll have to have part of it cut off. That's the part I'm saying is going to take a long time, and I'm probably not going to get to till later. This has been super fun to sit and chat with people while I'm doing. So honestly, I may get done at the end of my time tonight and let this sit and start right over with more herringbone next week. So if y'all hate that, apologies. But if you love that, really into the Zen effect of brick, 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 then you'll love the next week. Oh. Hey, Lisa, glad you got to make it and actually see me doing the herringbone stuff. This is me herringboning. Lisa is the one that specifically loves the herringbone, and that is, you're here. It's a good time to show off my Patreon patrons. They are that first one. That's Dungeon Matron. That's Lisa. Lisa has her own Discord. Not a YouTube or Insta type presence yet, but a lot of us like to hang out on Lisa's channel or Lisa's Discord and do various different things. They've got a game that runs there every once in a while on their Discord. I think that's Call of Cthulhu right now, or maybe they're just talking about Call of Cthulhu and it's running somewhere else. But there's also a Wednesday hangout that's every week and a Saturday hangout that's every other week. I thought it was supposed to be yesterday, but I didn't see anybody when I was hanging out in there, so I left after a minute. But always a good time over there. Bunch of good people hanging out there. And on top of that, Lisa's builds are freaking amazing. See that haunted house thing. Oh my gosh. All right. So, but I'm glad you're getting to see the herringbone and know how much you enjoy it. The herringboning, the actual doing of. So, and as you know, rare instance, I'm using white glue instead of hot glue. Because I know you know I don't like this stuff. Oh, see, I did it again. I tried to do the pattern the wrong direction. For those of you who just missed that, oh, let me just cover these other two. Patrick Walters, longtime Patreon supporter as well. Really appreciate all the help there. And Digital Calibrator is an in real life actual physical friend that comes over sometimes and has helped with both the audio and video for these live streams. So you got them to thank for that one. So those are my patrons. And okay, this one I almost put on this way instead because keep thinking in my head, oh, it's brickwork, but it go the opposite direction. And like I said, once I get started on a row, it's easy. But every time I restart a row or start a new row, it messes me up and get all wonky. But that's all right. I used to make chainmail for a living. And it's kind of the same thing, especially if you're doing like 6-in-1 or 8-in-1 instead of 4-in-1. So you just get used to being able to look at it and go, oh, I see where I messed up, and go back and fix it pretty easy. I never get too worried if I get the herringbone off a little, because stuff's all foam and costs nothing. I mean, it's expensive if you buy the big sheets of the foam, but by the time I've got it all cut down, I mean, how many tenths of a penny is that piece of foam worth, right? So worst case scenario, I'd have to cut out a section and redo it. And I've never had to do that. I've only ever had to go back and squidge pieces around to the right direction. Let's see what we're going. Yes, I am a herringboner. We have covered this before. I actually do not. The herringboner, as far as I'm concerned, is that pattern that was that Carl that made that. I think it was Carl that made that. And man, I would kind of like one of those, but I don't know how I'd get it in here down into this cutout area to do it. So I am getting by with what I got. But don't think I didn't see what you did there calling me a herringboner. I can see it. I'm on to you. My fist anger. Not really angry. Oh, you are not going to fit that way. You're going to turn you the other way. And leave you for later. Okay? Running out of space in places like this, that's where I'm going to have to do all that custom work later. I still think I can get one more normal one here. Move that in position. Let those sit for later. And because my weird OCD, or ADHD, not OCD, it looks like I should continue right here. But my brain is like, no, finish this part of them. But I'm not. Following this row. More methodical. Do the thing. Okay. More of that. Running a bead of glue. And then more bricks this way. Hey, look, I remember which direction to put them this time. So, anybody here new? Glad to have you. If you're returning, also definitely glad to have you. You're my little campaigners here for the whole campaign. I love it. I say little, that makes it sound so demeaning, but I love you, and it's what I mean. You know, it's like, oh, you're my little friend. I appreciate y'all coming by and watching me do mellow bricking stuff. What I should do, I've been thinking I'd have done it, is push these bricks over here and then put this here. And y'all could maybe actually see what the heck I'm doing. I'm using this white glue. It smooshes around under the bricks when I push them down, so I don't have to worry about spreading it out. I can just put down a bead of it. If I'm worried about getting more, I can just go to some place where there's more glue like this, grab some of that. I really don't need this, but I'm just being demonstrative. Of course, now it wants to stick. And then put it under the next one. And as I said, when this is all said and done, I'm going to put down some watered down PVA over this. Normally, I would just go straight to the paint, but this is so fiddly, and there's no glue between any of these. It's only underneath, that I want to make sure to get good adhesion with that. I'm going to get one more row in. Go ahead and lay that glue down. Working with my glue cap in my mouth. Hope y'all can understand me. Okay, that one. Now remember, cross go the other direction. There we go. Now this seems like it would be really boring, but it's actually not. Sitting here chatting with y'all, or if I'm listening to music or watching somebody else's stream, this is very methodical and zen for me. It helps me clear my thoughts. I actually enjoy laying down bricks. When I first started doing this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate that. And then I forgot I had put that in my head, and so it never stuck. So ever since then, I was sitting there and I did, oh my gosh, I did 30 or 40 roofs for a set one time. And next thing I know, I was like, wow, that went quick. And realized that it'd give me time to clear my head and think. And in case y'all haven't heard me beat this horse enough, I am writing a role-playing game. So a lot of times I'll just sit here and get some mellow music with no lyrics so I don't get distracted and go down a mental rabbit hole. And I will just sit here and think about the mechanics for my game and put brick after brick after brick after brick, and it all gets done in the end. I think that's all I can get. I don't think I can get one more in there. So now, a couple up here at this top end. When I say a couple, I mean some. It's never just two. It's only one. I don't know how much glue I'm going to need up there. Excuse me for that. I used to have on my other mic a mute button where I could mute out things like coughs, sneezes, and all that, but I can't do that easily. I apologize. Y'all had to hear me clear my throat just there. A few more in there. Okay. I think I can get one more in there. Do that one by hand. Don't need the knife for that one. Okay. All the rest of those are going to have to be custom weird little cut pieces when I get done. Now I'm going to switch to the other side of the board over here. Grab some of that glue because that doesn't need to dry in a big blob up in there. Spread that out here. Now, white glue has about a 80 to 90% reduction in volume when it dries. So in fact, all of this stuff that's in these little seams here, all these little pools of it, will stop pooling when it dries. When it dries, it'll suck in and all be down in there. But sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. See some other places I can squeeze some in. Put one right up here. And here. Probably there. Okay, yep. Get one there. And then one against it on this side. Against it on this side. Now, for any of y'all who are super duper into Mordheim and all those types of games, I hope this isn't boring you because I don't really build ruins. I don't. When I build ruins, I build old ruins, like just stone. All the wood's rotted away, so I don't put any wood in them. Things like that. I either build as if they're cities that are currently in use or that are super duper old and damaged, like Amon Hin. Amon Hin didn't have it. That's a Lord of the Rings thing. Didn't have any wood or anything left on it. It was just a rock chair on top of a platform. And, that's the scrying chair or searching chair or looking chair or something. I don't remember the other name, but I don't build like, I either build like that where it's really old and it's clear that it's really old and there doesn't need to be any timber or anything, or I build like this where it's relatively new in the world and still in current. Okay, Inky Diorama's asked, are you ever tempted to draw the herringbone pattern on foam and lay it in sheets? Oh God, no. No. I would lose the pattern and get super frustrated at myself. No. That way madness lies as far as I'm concerned. If you can do it that way, brilliant. I cannot. I have to lay herringbone one at a time. Now, regular normal bricks, yeah, I do lots of stuff where I carve in the regular offset bricks, but definitely not herringbone. There's another pattern that's also the same way. That's I used to know what it's called. I don't know what it's called. It is a very common pattern that people lay real life full size travertine in. But I do. See, I said again. Now I'm self conscious of it since I mentioned it a minute ago. I do uh, lay that pattern as well, and sometimes I do lay that one by hand first. But it is a much simpler, much repeating pattern, and I typically do it with larger tiles than this, and usually more precisely cut and laid. This one, where I'm specifically wanting it to be a little wonky, oh no, 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 madness lies that way. I like a little madness. House in the middle of that's a song by a band called Madness. Or if you're old, you know it. If you're not old, well, lucky you. But I cannot lay herringbone ahead. No, no. Last brick. Oh, this one right here. Yeah, it's a little wonky. I see that. That one, or the one over here. I can do that. Then I get random stuff like this brick. Where's this brick from? I don't have any other bricks this size. I have no bricks this size. Where did this come from? Oh, I'll toss it over there. It'll end up in my rubble pile in a minute. Used for something later. But for right now, I don't know where it came from. I have no clue. I have no clue. Like all my Irish relatives. I have no clue. Anybody who's wondering, I'm not making fun of my Irish relatives. Sit and listen to them talk for hours. I love that dialect. They're all from Cork, which I found out I was pronouncing wrong all my life. I say Cork and they all say Carrick. So they're all from Cork and Limerick and other places down on the south end down there. If you're from Ireland, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not from Ireland, you probably don't care. But kind of like the Cornwallers that consider themselves Cornwallers first and English second. So my Irish relatives, a lot of them are like that. Consider themselves from whichever county they're from first, or then they consider themselves from Ireland. And my relatives get really ticked off about certain other political things, so we're going to drop it there. They go with county first and Ireland second. And I have met Cornwallers that are the same way about Cornwall, and I don't even know if Cornwallers is the right word. Cornish? That's it. Cornish. I know Cornish people. Or is Cornish just things that are made in Cornwall? I don't know. I do think it's funny that here in the United States, we sell these tiny little chickens called Cornish game hens. I don't know why everybody calls them Cornish, because I'm not sure that the Cornish particularly eat tiny little hens. But I get all these people that think that it's some entirely different kind of chicken or whichever, and I'm like, no, they're just juveniles. That's literally the reason they're small, is they are young. And if I had any vegans watching my channel, they've just left. Oh well. Yeah, stuff like this just looks weird because that brick is a little too small. One right there I'm pointing at. But just gonna leave it. It's all gonna get filled up with the grout later. Yeah, Madness was great. It's crazy to me if you look at the young ones, who most of them were like nobody. They made like 10 or 12 different bands popular just because they mentioned them or had them on. They also made one that basically was, they were tempted to get out of music, or they were thinking of, I don't remember, but Echo and the Bunnymen had been well, I don't know if anybody's really getting our message or whatever. And then one of the guys in it goes, I'm so angry. I'm going to send this has upset me so much. I'm going to send an angry letter to to the leader of Echo and the Bunnymen. Dear Mr. Echo. And, but all of the actors that were in the young ones went on to be other stuff. And I don't just mean the four main young ones. I mean lots of others. That's the first place I ever saw Robbie Coltrane, who later went on to play Hagrid. It's the first place I ever saw, oh my gosh, I've forgotten his name. Lenny Henry, who went on to be, uh, to play Chef, which is a really well-known British comedy. Yeah. The young ones was the whole show, the whole way it came about, because it almost didn't, and all that. It's just fascinating television history. But that is not where I first heard Madness, but it's the first place I ever heard it that kind of popularized it. And that song was the one they played. And, they were actually making fun of them in the show. They're like, "Oh, there's these weirdos in a front street. I don't know what they're doing, but they're blocking traffic." And it goes outside, and it was sort of a remake of the actual Our House video, where they're standing on like a moving truck in front of the house. Only this time, instead of the Our House from the video, it was the house that they use as the alleged outside of the young one's house. I have rattled on and on and on about British comedy for way too long. All right. I grew up on PBS here in the United States. I was basically, not latchkey kid quite, but left alone to my own devices when I was a kid mostly. I was raised by much, much older people, well into their 60s and 70s when I was, 5. Um, and in the evenings, I would just plunk down in front of the PBS, I'm old. And that brick is not going to fit no matter how many times I try to cram it in there. We're going to have to move that one. So that would, I would go straight from like Sesame Street and those sorts of things to Washington Week in Review and the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour. And then straight after that, I guess I was a political 5-year-old. I have no idea. And then I would go straight from there into things like the show Mystery, and there was one called Masterpiece Theater and all that. So, yeah, on weekends I was watching the same channel, but that's when I was catching Doctor Who, etc., etc. You ever think I used the too expensive words, and I shouldn't have paid that much for language? Well, blame PBS and my great aunt, and by blame I mean thank. I am. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Well, I didn't know any other way, so I can't really say that. But looking back on it, I'm glad it educated me a little. Loosely collected was raised by woodland animals. Well, also good. Lots of good skills you learned. I hope you learn to avoid people. That's a good, valuable one. See. A lot of corn, drought. 2 bricks at the top are off. Oh yeah, up here? Or yeah, I'm gonna wiggle everything back in once I get this done. I can only do so much from this angle. I can't see it clearly. Okay, now question is, can I fit bricks in here? Yes, if they're little ones. Some of these are a little bit shorter, and I will try to cram some of those in here. Haha. Another one. There's another one. I'm almost done with this section. Then I can make sure that nothing's too wonky. I do want it wonky, but I don't want it wonky. I want it like well repaired wonky. It's busted in half. Too short. There's another one that'll work. And you'll go. Now, let's see what I got. Oh, yeah, those are jacked up. Oh, I see. That's where that one's messed up. I can actually fit that little half-size one in there and fix that. Aha! Cleaver, Professor, but not cleaver enough. I have no idea what that quote is from. I know it is a quote from some show or movie, but I do not remember the actual source. Oh, yeah. I messed it all up and right in. Oops, messed it up right in here. So let me get that fixed. That needs to come out. Nope. Slide it up. And that one comes over. Ah, I see. I see. Okay, you slide down in there. And you slide there. You slide there. Okay. I think that's got it fixed, Lisa. Tell me what you think. There's going to be one put in here, but I can't put it in yet. That's got to come in later. Because all these are not quite right because of this thing. So, but you were talking about these ones right up in here. Yeah? And they fixed them. Patron approved. Excellent. Yeah. So I fixed a chunk here and a chunk here. Added a brick here and straightened some here. Now I'm switching to the other side. We'll do it all over again, this time with style and verve. Now, since this comes down to here and this comes down to here, the question is, do I actually try to make this pattern match, or do I just do it like this is done separate? And I think I'm going to take the crummy way out and just start new. Nope, I found some places I can put some in. There's one that can go there. Put one in here. And I think I can fit one. Oh, I didn't put it in the right spot. Now I got it in there. That's this one. And this should be pressed over a little more. And this should come up. So, these are trying to crawl at the top. I see. There we go. Okay. Here, that's the problem, is I keep trying to push this all the way here and it doesn't go here. It goes here with that little hole there. I'll fill that in later. Can I fit one in there? Yes. Oh, do not drop the craft knife at your crotch. Needless safety tips from blades at your groin. You can quote me on that one. Oh, these look bad. Yeah, those are right in the center. That's where everybody walks up and steps off onto the top step anyway. So I guess they're supposed to look bad. And I still think I'm going to take the easy way out and just start anew over here. And in here, it's just going to be wonky. And I'm okay with that. The caps lowercase version. Leave it to Cleaver. The challenge is matching the pattern. Yeah, I'm not. And here,